Hello and greetings for those of you in TV land out there. This is your pal Tim, here with yet another check-in. This time is a little different though. Instead of a check-in, I'll do that a little bit later when school starts up, but right now we're going to do a top 10 countdown of the 10 ways that Seattle is different than the East Coast. So, starting from number 10. Is the city size of the cities over here and kind of their status. In Seattle, you could go north-south on I-5, east-west for a little bit, and the cities just kind of blend together. You know, you're in Seattle, and then you're in Shoreline, and then you're in Linwood, and you know, it keeps going like that. It's pretty bam, 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 one city right after the other. Here, it's a city, and then nothing, 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 city, nothing, nothing, nothing. It's nice, it's very pretty here. So there you go, it's number 10. Number 9 is alcohol. And you might be asking me, that's number 9 is alcohol. And you could be asking me, Tim, I mean, alcohol is alcohol. You know, you go to Connecticut, it's alcohol. You go to Washington, it's alcohol. What's the big deal? Well, I'll tell you what the big deal is, and that's how they sell it. In Washington State, I think most liquor stores are closed on Sundays, but during the week they're usually open pretty later. And as long as the grocery store is open, you can buy beer. Here, that's not the case. First of all, you cannot buy, doesn't matter if the store is 24 hours or whatever, you cannot buy liquor after 9 p.m. See what I did there? I saved number 9 for, 9 p.m. Never mind. You cannot purchase liquor here past 9 o'clock. You have to wait till the next day, I don't know when, but you can't purchase at 9 o'clock. So if you go to the store at 9:30 wanting some beers, you're going to have to wait. Especially on Sundays. You cannot anything on Sunday, you cannot buy beer at a store on Sunday. So, the people in my program told me to plan my parties accordingly, and those of you who are watching this know the kind of party animal that I am, so I'm gonna have to watch that, I guess. Anyway, number I'm a grad student. Number 8 is obviously time zones. Now this seems like a pretty obvious one, but for some of my colleagues and people that I love very dearly back home, it's not. I have gotten calls at 1 or 2 in the morning. Hey, let's hang out and party. I'm actually on the East Coast right now, so while you're calling me to hang out around 9, 10, thinking that that's cool, it's 1 or 2 here, and I have to be at an all-day orientation tomorrow, so not fun for me actually, no. So for those of you who don't know, it is Eastern time zone here, so that means at all times for you guys on the West Coast, California, Washington, I'm 3 hours ahead of you. And from 3 hours ahead, the future looks bleak, so keep that in mind. Anyway, so time zones are the other big difference around here. Number 7 is grinders. Now I already talked about this previously in another video, but in case you guys didn't catch it, they call sandwiches grinders here. I've already ran into several different shops where they have, it's called Tom's Grinders, and a grinder is like a sub sandwich. It's usually cold, and if it's hot they specify hot grinder. Otherwise, sub is like a cold sandwich you would get at Subway, or like a hoagie. Number 6 here on the list is weather. Very different over here so far. Lots of humidity. I don't remember there being much humidity in Seattle, and in Spokane it's a very dry heat, so the humidity is doing numbers of bad things to my hair, which is hard. But I get used to it. And the heat, the heat is bad. But then again, it cools off really quickly at night. It's just really an odd kind of weather situation. Whereas in Seattle, you got, I tell people Seattle's like Africa. You have your wet and your dry season, so that's basically it. And then I hear it snows a lot here. Which brings me to number 5. whereas Seattle is very much a maritime climate, this is not a maritime climate. And by that I mean, you know, wet and doesn't snow a lot, cloudy a lot, windy, things like that. It gets windy here sometimes, and on those days the humidity is actually durable, where, you know, you can actually suffer through it a little bit. But rarely windy, rarely cloudy, and I hear it's supposed to snow a lot. So maritime climate is definitely a big, don't have one over here. No maritime climate. Nope, not at all. So number 4 is sports teams. Now that's also an obvious switch because of the geographic location. Whereas in Seattle you have Mariners and Seahawks. That's about it. You're kind of confined to what the teams are in the state. Here it's not true. It's what states you have in it's what sport teams you have in New England and New York. So because Connecticut is the southernmost New England state, you have half the people who are Yankees fans and half which is in New York, which is just south of Connecticut. Then you have Boston Red Sox fans, which Massachusetts is just north of us, so there's that split. Connecticut doesn't really have any teams. And then you have like Giants and Jet fans, Patriot versus Patriot fans. There's that split between New York teams and Boston, New England teams. And especially during basketball season, UConn is a huge basketball school, and I come from Spokane where, you know, Gonzaga's pretty good. So don't know who I'm gonna root for, but we'll see. As long as they don't have to play each other, maybe I'll root for both. 3 is the roadways. Now in Seattle there's a few differences, but in Seattle you have mostly north highways and freeways, north-south highways and freeways, and east-west highways and freeways. Here, who the hell knows? Sorry, but if you just Google Map Stores, Connecticut, S-T-O-R-R-S, or Mansfield, whichever one, it's the same thing. And you'll see that the highways are just spider webs, and that they go northeast and southwest, and they really go all different directions. And my understanding is that because they were built really long ago, or longer ago, you know, and it's kind of a crazy highway system. You really don't know. And there's a couple of, and the highways that's the other thing, in Seattle, highways are like multi-lane, on-ramp, off-ramp. Here it's kind of like a highway could be one lane each way, and just seems like a normal back road thing, and that's a highway. So big difference between some of the roadways here. It's been interesting to get used to. Okay, we're getting down there. Number 2 is the communication styles. Now, this is something that I picked up on. On the West Coast, primarily, I'm just talking, you know, Seattle and maybe smaller cities by Spokane, people are automatically warm in their communication or more friendly in their communication, and until they have reason to believe otherwise of you for whatever reason, and then they might be more cold after they find something that they don't like about you, or, you know, something like that. But people are more likely to be naturally friendly, I feel like, in Seattle and in Spokane. That's my opinion. Here, people will automatically be cold in their response to you unless they have sufficient evidence that you're nice, and then they'll be more warm. But there's definitely that communication difference, which is very interesting. Which leads me into number 1, is the people here are very different. People here are very tough. They have this really tough exterior, and you don't break their tough exterior, because that's kind of what's holding them up. It's a stereotypical maybe New Jersey, New York attitude of being, you know, putting on a tough exterior and not kind of letting that emotion or like flaws out. In Seattle, people make fun of themselves a lot, or joke about themselves a lot. We'll say, oh, that was stupid of me, or yeah, I'm so awesome at this, haha, and it'll be sarcastic, whereas people here won't do that. That's invading kind of the toughness mentality. And so those are just what I think for now as far as how the people react. But anyway, that's my top 10 list for now of most noticeable things that the East Coast is different than Seattle. And so I should get to bed. I have it's kind of most of the day orientation tomorrow, and then there's a potluck thing, so I should get going to bed. But for now, this is Tim signing out. I hope all of you have a really good night, and I look forward to talking to a lot of you in the future. Alright, see you.